It's about the View. It's become like a medical hospital that displays human misfailure. Like it's like here, let's look at this political oddity. It's like it really is like the left-wing equivalent of a carnival sideshow, except instead of bearded ladies and fat clowns and two-headed cows. Well, let me rephrase that. But the View is a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. How can you now speak the truth when for years you've been telling lie after lie after lie? Now you're carrying this big bag of rocks around you because it's too harmful for their ego to admit that we really were dishonest.
They've been exposed, and the world wasn't ready. Greg Gutfeld and TYRUS just delivered a savage reality check straight to The View, and it hit like a truck. Sonny Hostin and the panel didn't even see it coming. The sarcasm? Sharp. Enough to slice through the set. The internet exploded. Fans in shock.
Some news, the feral monsters of The View say they've never heard of you-know-who. True, the show that makes mornings hell claim that my name doesn't ring a bell. It's time for
our view on The View. Ugh.
Yeah, the witch's coven finally shows me some lovin'. Yesterday on The View, yours truly was the subject of conversation. Apparently the broads have no idea who I am, or so they say. Hit it, Gladys.
They said that Gutfeld talks about you all the time.
Who is he? Really, who is he?
I don't watch the show.
He has a show.
I don't watch the
never
show.
heard of him.
Yeah.
I guess he's just obsessed with me.
No. Next, Joy's going to say she's never heard of carbs. Seriously, her denial of knowing me is as believable as a red.
The world of political commentary is usually safe, scripted, and predictable, especially on The View. Same outrage, same talking points, same polished performance. But then Greg Gutfeld and TYRUS showed up, and what they did wasn't just a disruption. It was a demolition. They didn't play by the rules. They shattered the whole act with the grace of a wrecking ball. And oh, did they deliver.
An obsession? I mean, come on, Joy. Where would you even get that idea? Like Joy Behar's face, it's looking worse and worse by the day. More full of crap than Joy Behar after a night of scotch at Taco Bell. Her being named Joy is like me being named ugly. Joy wasn't there on the show. Apparently Mondays are her days off when she feeds in the pasture. It now smells like a humid day inside Joy Behar's moo-moo. And the motives stink worse than Joy Behar's jog bra. I mean, assuming she jogs. Oh, wait, there she is. She has a point. Maybe I am obsessed, but some people are obsessed with Bigfoot, and they don't get to see him on TV every afternoon.
With the force of a precision strike, they didn't just criticize, they obliterated. Greg and TYRUS ripped The View apart from a distance, leaving the hosts stunned, scrambling, and totally unprepared. No filters, no mercy. It was chaos without the usual preachy fluff, just raw exposure.
You know who just stunk up The View. The Bidens joined The View this morning for the entire hour. The audience was caught off guard, but knew something was up when they saw a dozen Secret Service agents and 2 embalmers. There were a few awkward moments, though, when a confused Joe asked if he could bid on the showcase. But was he surprised Kamala lost?
Here's the thing about Greg Gutfeld. He doesn't need a stage to cause a meltdown. His podcast, a battleground, where liberal sound bites go to die. No scripts, no safety nets, just unfiltered chaos, and it's glorious. In one savage episode, Greg, armed with razor-sharp sarcasm, went to war with The View. That so-called moral high ground, he exposed it as smoke and mirrors. The sanctimony?
Sure, all that. And the price of butter. Sonny gets the game ball. If it wasn't for her, asking that question, it might have been a closer election. But when oh no, nothing really comes to mind, I was like, cha-ching. Listen, they're bitter, they're angry, they're entitled. They also should be. This should have been a reset for everyone who pushed lies and misinformation for the last. They call them Hitler. They call these things. America rejected them, and instead of coming back and saying we lied, They instead are now doubling down. So let her keep doing it, because if she keeps that up, we're going to keep getting the Senate and probably the House and the White House, because people see right through your lies. So keep doing what you're doing. Game ball.
In Gutfeld's world, taking down The View isn't commentary. It's a demolition job. Toss raw meat into a pit of egos and watch the claws come out. What follows? Pure chaos and unfiltered gold. Greg's humor? It's savage by design. He doesn't roast. He dissects. Each smug grin from The View, unraveled. Each virtue signal, torn to shreds. He's not chasing laughs. He's dragging their entire act into the spotlight. A spotlight they can't control. With every recycled, pre-approved take they throw out, Greg hits back. Fast, sharp, devastating. It's not just a rebuttal. It's a takedown. He exposes what they hope viewers never question, that beneath their so-called inclusivity lies a fortress of filtered opinions. And Greg, he's breaking the locks. This isn't satire. This is war with a smile. He nailed them on their tolerance, which somehow never includes opposing voices. It's almost laughable. Their version of diverse is just two liberals in different zip codes. Greg didn't just clap back. He dropped a wrecking ball. And now, the question no one on The View wants to face.
Their brains are small. But who's the dumbest one of all? True, none of them are in Mensa, but who's the most densa? Perhaps it's Sonny who mastered the art of making idiots look smart. Now The View could ask a mirror who's the dumbest one of all, but there's no way that glass doesn't shatter.
Greg wasn't finished yet. He was just warming up. The View thought they were untouchable, but Greg wasn't playing by their rules. He wasn't just calling out their shallow progressive values. He was digging deep, exposing their biggest flaw. The truth? Their so-called tolerance is nothing but a mask. It's only extended to those who parrot their exact beliefs. Step out of line and prepare for the "you're wrong, shut up" treatment. If you dare to challenge them, you're instantly shut down. No debate, no discussion, just a monologue of self-righteousness, spitting moral superiority. They don't care about engaging in real conversation. They're only interested in drowning out anyone who doesn't agree with their script. If you're not repeating their tired talking points, you don't matter. This is their formula, preaching to a crowd of like-minded fans who are completely oblivious to the fact that they're all saying the same thing. So the real question is, can The View survive the spotlight Greg just put on them? Is this the end of their carefully crafted image?
Not even that. In The View, you don't need to find Trumpers. You need to fire your race baiters.
Yeah.
You need to fire the two races. You've had people. You had a McCain on there. You've had people on there before, and you ran them off. Mm-hmm. So the racist ones who want to stick to this, Whoopi and Sonny, and the, was it Bette Midler?
What's her name? Joy.
Broke-ass Bette Midler. Fire them and bring people in. Maybe you could get McCain to come back. She was a Republican, but every show and every break, she was nearly in tears because she was being attacked.
They've been hiding this for years. The View's carefully curated image is starting to crack, and Greg is the one holding the hammer. It's the oldest trick in the book. Talk a big game about inclusivity, all while keeping the gates locked tight to anyone who dares challenge their narrative. It's like a cult, but instead of worshiping some figurehead, they're worshiping their own self-righteous opinions. But Greg, sitting back, watching it all unfold, wasn't having any of it. With surgical precision, he shattered The View's facade, their so-called tolerance, just empty words. The second you step outside their narrow, well-defined lines, it all falls apart. Greg didn't just stop there. He dove deeper, relentlessly exposing their hypocrisy. It was like watching a master surgeon at work, dissecting every flaw in their logic. He ripped apart how The View loves to stand on their so-called moral high ground, preaching to the world how everyone should think. Yet their arguments crumble like a house of cards. And the real kicker? They do it all while accusing others of doing the exact same things they do every day. Finger-pointing, moralizing, all while ignoring their own glaring contradictions. It's almost impressive how they accuse everyone else of their own flaws, completely oblivious to their repeated offenses. But here's the real question. How long can The View keep this up before their mask slips completely? Can they survive the truth that Greg just revealed?
So the problem is that you have to go after the racist people. And if be the CEO goes, you know what, I'm not going to allow a woman on my show or man that will go after white America and talk about them like dogs. That doesn't represent our ideals or values for anyone. And get rid of those people, and this will clear up real quick. So do you have to actually look in the mirror and clean up your own backyard and get the racist people out? Because that's who you allowed in. You allowed black racist on TV who could just go all day and say anything about white people. And I guess lo and behold, they forgot that there's a lot of people at home, white people at home during the day that are not watching your show anymore. So just clean it up.
Yeah, Emily.
Greg's never one to let hypocrisy slide, especially when it's wrapped in smug self-righteousness. They've been hiding this for years, and Greg wasn't about to let them get away with it. He pulled back the curtain, exposing their double standards to the world. Every single one of them was now in the spotlight. No one's safe under his watch. And as always, the hypocrisy, it's glaring. The View, the same people who accuse others of doing exactly what they excel at, have just been exposed for who they really are. And Greg? He wasn't pulling any punches. He made sure the truth hit harder than a freight train. But wait, it doesn't stop there. Enter Tyrus, a wrecking ball in human form. If Greg is the intellectual scalpel, then Tyrus, he's the one with zero time for niceties. While Greg's wielding sarcasm like a finely tuned weapon, Tyrus doesn't care about subtlety. He's here to obliterate the issue. No sugarcoating, no second guessing. Tyrus doesn't just take on the View, he demolishes them. Think of a freight train crashing into a pile of glass. Messy, loud, and impossible to ignore. While Greg's playing chess with sarcasm, Tyrus is charging in like a bull in a china shop, going straight for the jugular with cold, hard facts. He wasn't there to follow any narrative, and he sure as hell wasn't going to play by their rules. The View. Hosts may have been spitting their usual leftist talking points, but Tyrus was there to remind them how far off they've strayed from reality. His takedown wasn't just a critique, it was a full-on obliteration. This is just the beginning. Can the View recover from this level of exposure? Can they survive the storm that's coming for them? Or is this the end of their carefully constructed image? You decide.
That's not what I read. The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. Worse, if your name has the word sun in it, there's no excuse for not knowing how an eclipse works. But it's no surprise that Joy is the one who understands science. She's been on the science diet for years. They're turning on me. So that makes Sonny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all. Because everyone knows the moon caused the eclipse, which is controlled by the View's gravitational pull.
Imagine this. The View is spinning their usual web of half-truths, presenting facts that seem so convincing until you dig a little deeper. It's all smoke and mirrors. Tyrus? He wasn't having any of it. He ripped apart their lies like a detective exposing a carefully hidden secret. What they claimed sounded perfect, until you peeled back the layers, revealing a hollow, fragile shell. They've been hiding this for years. Tyrus didn't sugarcoat it. He laid it down straight. Disinformation wrapped in a velvet glove. No room for excuses. He wasn't there to debate them. He was there to expose the truth. This could end everything for their carefully crafted narrative. You can't just spew lies and expect people to buy into it. Tyrus wasn't just speaking to the audience. He was speaking directly to the View. But hold up, that was just the beginning. Enter Greg and Tyrus, the dynamic duo, the perfect storm of sarcasm and truth bombs. They didn't even need to be in the same room as the View to destroy them. Their words, they hit harder than any confrontation ever could. They didn't need to engage directly with the hosts. Their voices alone tore through the facade with surgical precision. The magic? It's in the silence. Picture this. The View hosts sitting comfortably behind their desks, exchanging nervous glances. They know something's coming. It's like watching someone get caught with their hand in the cookie jar, except no one's there to call them out. The tension in that moment? It's deafening. And the best part? We're just getting started. Will the truth finally catch up with the View? Or will they continue to hide behind their lies? Can they survive this kind of public exposure?
People have to wonder, where does Sonny Hostin get her opinions? Yeah. Like you said, it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say in The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist. She injected skin color into a fairly generic behavior seen in all spouses, regardless of skin color. People marry, they listen to each other, they have something in common with them, they share their political views. She just didn't want to upset her husband by saying her husband makes her do everything, and then she'd have to accuse him of being a racist. Because if he told her that this is what white women do, then he's a racist. You see?
The truth about The View, it's worse than anyone imagined. Greg Gutfeld and Tyrus didn't just joke. They tore apart everything the show stands for. When they dropped the truth, the internet erupted. Greg wasn't just calling out hosts. He was dismantling the entire show. The contradictions, the hypocrisy, the self-righteousness, it all came crashing down. It wasn't about individuals, it was about The View's entire system. And Greg and Tyrus, they were the perfect duo to destroy it. Greg grabbed the mic and shredded their bubble of fake outrage. He mocked their false sense of moral superiority, pointing out how they pretended to fix the world while chasing their own tails. It was like watching them bark at the sky, believing it would change anything. But Greg wasn't backing down. Preach tolerance? He shot back. Try accepting ideas that don't fit your agenda first? His words weren't just an attack. They were a reality check. Tolerance? Just lip service? Then came Tyrus. If Greg is the scalpel, Tyrus is the wrecking ball. He went straight for the jugular. No holding back, no fluff. His truth hit harder than anything, breaking their carefully built defenses. Every word was a blow to their false narrative. The tension was thick. Tyrus wasn't here for agendas or talking points. He was here to expose the truth, and he did it without mercy. The hosts of The View were left exposed, drowning in their own contradictions, with no way out.
Hostin's obsession with race gets thrown back in her face. Today's video comes to us from sunny Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners from...
While The View thrives on this constant narrative of victimhood, screaming about liberal superiority, they never look at the glaring hypocrisy beneath it all. Tyrus pointed it out. They only care about the right victim, the right cause. If you're on the correct political side, you're allowed to play the victim. But if you're not, you're erased. This game they've been playing, it's tired, predictable. And Tyrus, he wasn't here for it. He laid it out, calling them out on their failure. To ever question the problems within their own ideology, the cracks in their facade, he exposed them all. Greg and Tyrus didn't just jab at the show, they obliterated their moral high ground. Every word from Greg was like a surgical strike, and when Tyrus stepped in, the silence was louder than words. Picture this. The hosts, caught in their own self-righteousness, looked like deer in headlights. The force of Greg and Tyrus's relentless dissection shattered the echo chamber they'd built. In a world where politics feels like a high-stakes poker game, Greg and Tyrus didn't just play, they called The View's bluff.
Sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
The View thought they were untouchable, but they were wrong. What happened next? It wasn't a confrontation. No shouting, no messy arguments, just cold, hard truths laid bare, and it all went down from a simple podcast. Greg and Tyrus didn't even have to be there in person. Their words, spoken casually from the comfort of their own space, were enough to send The View spiraling into chaos. Their contradictions were so glaring, even the hosts couldn't defend them. It was as if the world was watching, and the silence from the other side, louder than any defense. The backlash? I mean, what else did they expect? Greg and Tyrus aren't just commentators, they're like a hurricane. You know it's coming, the wind picks up, the storm rages,